So someone like Lil Tay becoming popular isn't really that bad. It is ridiculous how she's going about making her comeback, but who cares? At 9 it was funny, and at 14 it's like, do you have any friends that aren't your mom and brother? But in reality, Lil Tay is going to grow out of all this, and then eventually make a video where she says she was forced to do all this, and then go on a national pity tour spreading awareness about her situation like we actually gave a fuck. Thankfully though, this video is about a school shooter. For me it goes terrorism, school shooter, and then EDM music on the top 3 things I hate in the world. And being known for one of these? You're lucky I'm under 6 feet. But I saw a video on TikTok by this beautiful young fella, and his first words of the video were,
"There's a school shooter who has a following on TikTok."
Now I would say less, but he only said 9 words, and I can count all those on my fingers, so that's good enough for me. But this guy, John Romano, or John Seeking Peace, is a school shooter. It's not alleged, I'm not assuming. He was the one who did the 2004 Columbia school shooting in New York and lets us know that. Now he only got 17 years for what he did. I'm not the law, so I'm not going to say how long he should have gotten, but a lot of people think he should have gotten more, or at least shouldn't be allowed to have a following. Imagine if the guy who got the 9/11 pilots their passports started apologizing and then became an advocate for stricter rules on getting a passport. It's like, no, shut the fuck up. We figured that out ourselves. We don't need the guy who broke the rules to help us fix them. You don't ask a racist how to fix racism. Now, I won't be as harsh to this guy, but it's obvious he's using his school shooter status as a way to get a following, and people aren't having it.
My comment section has been turned off because anybody who said anything slightly supportive of me was getting harassed.
I wonder why. I wonder why that's happening. Is it because you try and downplay everything that really happened?
I'm about to show police video footage of the hallway after the shooting. For those who don't know, when I was just 16 years old, I went into my high school with a gun. My intent was not to kill, but to die in front of other people. And I knew that I'd be traumatizing them, which I did. I wanted to share my pain with others, and I regret it more than anything, but I want people to know what happened that day.
You should regret buying that thing 16-year-old girls hang on their wall more than anything, but I guess the shooting is bad also. And notice how he tells us right away he didn't want to kill anyone, but just wanted to die in front of them. And it's like, unless you were there to kill someone, no one was going to try and kill you. It's also like he could have took matters into his own hands, you feel me? Or let Seth Rogen do it.
When I did come out of the bathroom with a shotgun in my hands, there was actually another student who was just on his way in, and I didn't shoot at him. And when I came around the corner, you'll see the hallway. You'll see where 2 kids had just come around the other corner, about 40 feet away, and I pointed up and away and shot. I did fire a second shot, and this one was into the wall. I was letting people know I was there. I was planning on, all right, this is gonna get everybody to call the police, and I'll be dead soon. I can't justify what I did, but again, my intent was not to kill. I didn't fire any shots.
Yeah, guys, I can't justify what I did, but know that I did everything with the intent of dying, so I guess you can call that justified. He also says he didn't fire any shots, but then seconds earlier says this.
And I pointed up and away and shot. I did fire a second shot.
He's trying really hard to get sympathy from us, like he didn't walk into a classroom just so the students can see who he is.
And I walked around for a little while, and I even, stepped into one classroom, and I just wanted to see people and have them see me.
That's something someone does when they want to be remembered for what they did, not someone who wants to die. And did you notice his hand? That's going to come into play later.
I turned around and I walked out. And it was while I was walking down the hallway that the vice principal came to see what the noise was. And then seeing me walking away, he came up from behind me, grabbed at the gun, the barrel and the stock. And during the struggle, unfortunately, the gun went off, and a teacher who was coming up behind us was hit in the shin. I can't justify what I did.
But you're trying to.
I would end up answering questions with police later on. I waived my Miranda rights without speaking to an attorney. The police then wrote down a confession supposedly written by me. I never read it, because then a couple of minutes later, another cop comes in and says, hey, an attorney just called. He's now represented all questions have to stop.
Yeah, no, conveniently, right after the cops wrote your confession for you, another cop came in and said, yeah, everything has to stop, making his lawyer's job that much harder because he was in line for his own Netflix special, and this was his first test. It's easy to say you didn't want to hurt someone now, but guaranteed if that vice principal wasn't able to overpower you, he would have gotten shot. Or what, you were gonna run away? You only die when you run away if you're... No, black. But just listen to why he says he pleaded guilty for attempted murder, like any other option was on the fucking table.
And I would later plead guilty to attempted murder and reckless endangerment. And people say, well, if your intent wasn't to kill, why did you plead guilty to attempted murder? I was facing 75 years and I just didn't have the fight in me. I didn't want to re-traumatize everybody at that time. And I just wanted to say, fuck it, I'm ready to go to prison. I'm done. And I'm not justifying anything I've done.
Yeah, we know, you already said that, dummy. But what does that even mean? You didn't want to traumatize everyone again during your trial when they're getting justice for what you did to them? Yeah, nah, let's make this quick and easy. I'll come back in 20 years and become a TikToker. I'm also not trying to justify what I did, but I wasn't even trying to kill anyone other than the people who were going to stop me. What is so hard to understand about that?
My whole goal on here has always been to try to help give people the mindset of somebody who would do something like this and to prevent any other shootings from happening.
Yeah, no, we have those. They're called Netflix specials. I mentioned that in a joke earlier. But you, an actual school shooter having a TikTok where you try and seem like someone who didn't commit a horrible crime? You ain't doing shit but getting people mad, which is why you had to turn off your comments.
And to explain what you're about to see, I was using 7.5 grade birdshot that day. And that's why you're going to see so many marks on the walls and in the ceiling. Now, this is lethal to people only at close range. And that's why I didn't pull the trigger when I was nearby anybody. And it definitely could have hit others even when I aimed away from them. There's no justifying what I did.
So we can all agree at this point that he is trying to justify what he did. He is literally trying to tell us he isn't a bad guy because he used birdshot, which is only lethal at close range. So is a fucking knife, but you don't see someone who stabs someone and be like, well, you see the 4-inch blade isn't as lethal as a 6-inch blade, so that's why I didn't bring one. You sound delusional trying to explain to us that you're still a good guy because you brought less lethal bullets to the function. He then shows us the footage of where he let the shots off, and just because he's talking all soft doesn't mean he's a good guy. Remember this guy? The cutie? Well, just listen to what he has to say.
I read a 195-page book about what happened at that school. And here's what I found. John convinced his mom to buy him a shotgun, and he loaded himself up one day with 25 rounds of ammunition. He wrote this note that's 4 pages long, and he says, I've had fantasies for about the last year of going into Columbia and shooting up the place. The fantasies were of me shooting random people. I really hate Mr. Crannell and Mr. Coosdale. They have no respect for me and lied to me. If I saw them, I would have shot them. So he stole his mom's truck, went right into the school, which he wasn't even attending at the time, by the way. He was carrying the shotgun in a case. He went to the bathroom and sat there for 20 minutes. Then he texted his buddies and said, I have a shotgun, get out of the school.
So not only did he have this manifesto type shit where he named teachers specifically, but he was also having wet dreams about what he was gonna do. This guy puts on a sad voice and says, I'm not trying to justify anything, like people aren't gonna look into who he is. You got caught. And remember how I mentioned his arms? Apparently he got attacked by someone with swords and his hands are just permanently fucked up now.
News Channel 13 has learned the victim of this attack is John Romano. Back in 2004, he was 16 years old when he opened fire inside Columbia High School in East Greenbush.
I would say karma, but I feel like he can still shoot a gun. But yeah, this guy is a self-proclaimed school shooter with evidence, and he's trying to be an influencer. He's not only lying about what he did to downplay the severity of it, but also trying to be an influencer. Imagine if Osama bin Laden, I'm not comparing the two, but imagine if people who done horrible things just came back 20 years later and decided to be YouTubers or whatever. Actually, no unlesses. They shouldn't be acting like what they did wasn't catastrophic to some people. Obviously, I can't do anything about him having a TikTok, but I just thought you guys should know. See you guys Monday. Peace.